So in these questions, they're asking you to find what the asymptotes are for the graph. And remember that asymptotes are lines that we approach but never actually touch as we go out to infinity or negative infinity on the x or on the y axis. So when we think about an asymptote, those are usually denoted with a dotted line. So for this question, just keep in mind that if you have a vertical line, you are going to cross the x-axis, and if you cross the x-axis, you'll have x is equal to a number. So vertical asymptotes will always be x is equal to a number because you cross the x-axis. And horizontal asymptotes, they will always be crossing the y-axis, and so we will have y is equal to a number, and that's because we cross the y-axis. So when you look at this picture here, you see that you have this flattening out of the graph as you go up towards infinity. So this dotted line here is denoting a asymptote, a vertical asymptote. And you notice that it goes through x is equal to 2. So we would have a vertical asymptote at x is equal to 2. And we also see that there's flattening out of the graph as we go out towards positive infinity here. So we would have a horizontal asymptote at y is equal to -3. So really it's just a matter of figuring out if it's a horizontal or vertical and then finding where there's flattening out. So there's flattening out of the graph here as you go out towards infinity. And if I were to kind of flip this guy around, we would see that there's flattening out of the graph. We're getting really close to that line, but we're not actually approaching it as our y goes to infinity. So our vertical horizontal asymptotes are going to be those dotted lines that we're approaching but not actually touching as we go out to infinity or negative infinity.